All right, I'm going to talk. What most of you are interested in is the crypto portfolio latest update. But before I get to that, I want to talk a little bit about coronavirus. Obviously, it's important. You can see this graph here, how many cases, and here's the US shooting up. And really, this instead of US, it should say New York. I think 90% of all the cases right now, it's New York City, and New York City looks like a shit show. We should be very concerned. I see complacency in New York, which is obviously a concern. And our government, I'm going to talk about this. We're going to show what Trump and how do you pronounce his name? Fauci? I'm going to show what they're saying the plan is, and then I'm going to show here. You got to listen to Chamath and his podcast, and I'm going to play a little bit. These are what smart people are saying. So I'm going to talk about how we're going to solve this, and I'm going to also show what Trump's doing now. And we need to be concerned. One thing I hear people say is like, geez, I can't believe the government this or that. I can't believe we don't have enough masks for doctors. I can't believe, I thought we just bailed out the banks. Like, people can't believe. If I asked you a year ago, is our health system in the United States a bit of a disaster? What would you have said? A year ago, you'd say, yeah, financially and the way it operates in general, it's a disaster. If I said a year ago, is our financial system upside down? The Fed started printing to bail out banks over a year ago, right? This was a year ago here. This is the Federal Reserve's balance sheet. We'll get to this in more detail, but look at right here. That's when the Fed started bailing. Okay, so they're printing a lot more now. None of this is new. Coronavirus is the pin that pricks the bubble. Coronavirus is speeding up shit that's already happening. Retail stores closing. Okay, they'll all be, a lot of companies go out of business in 10 years. Well, now it's 2 years. Or 2 months. But I don't like seeing complacency in New York, right? Yo, people walking around Brooklyn, playing around, no one's wearing a mask. And then someone writes, oh, you're not supposed to wear a mask unless you're sick. That's a lie. The government told you, oh, you don't need masks. Do you know why they said that? Because we don't have masks. Fortunately, in January, when I saw what was coming, I emailed my parents and my brother and people I care about and said, buy a mask, because when you want it, you won't be able to get it. They thought I was crazy. My parents now walk around in their community in Florida with masks on. People are like, how did you get a mask? Because they have a son who knows what the fuck's going on, right? Anyways. But, this was yesterday, Amazon.
So that we know that everybody was...
This is Amazon closed the warehouse because somebody in the Amazon warehouse in New York has coronavirus. And people here are complaining, oh, you fucking wasted my time. I drove out here. Why didn't you tell me sooner? And they all shut up when she says, oh, we're going to pay you anyways. And they're all a bunch of whiners with no fucking masks. Nobody cares. They just want to go to work. People want to pretend nothing's happening.
Expected to come in at 10:15 today when people knew that there was an issue with coronavirus. It's completely unacceptable. It's completely unacceptable.
That's out right now. That we made the decision for all of your safety.
We know that you knew that we were actually organizing to fight for this. We know. You guys,
We're organizing to fight for this. Dude, you got a real fight. Enough with the phony baloney. People love the fake news, the fake show. Oh, let's pretend impeachment is real news. Guess what, guys? We have a real issue for once, and people are gonna freak out about it. And this video, kind of funny. I'll admit that. But again, it just shows I watch this and I see complacency.
I got your corona pass. Did you get 2, man? and you get 2 sets of gloves for only $5. Now, who want to live? That's all I want to know. Who want to live?
You know, on a subway, somebody's got the fucking coronavirus, and then somebody else gets it. Like, people... Okay. Now, let's talk about... So, Trump, here's the solution. The solution is testing. And I don't mean just when you have it, and they test and see that you definitely have it and are spreading right now. We need to test for people who are showing no symptoms. We need to test for people who already got it, got over it, and they're fine, and they have antibodies. We need to know what percentage of the population has already gotten through it. We need everybody testing everywhere. When you look at what's working, in Korea or China, they're taking your temperature before you get on a bus, before you go into a store, but they're taking temperatures. Okay, that's not everything, but they're taking temperatures. There's ways you can test just to see, like a swab of your, I don't even know what the fuck a swab is. It sounds easy. They just take a little, maybe a spit on something, like mucus. They can test if you have the antibodies in your system. There's so many different types of tests, and we should be doing all of them. Everybody tested all the time so we know what the fuck's going on. But the Trump administration, and listen, they're working on one type of testing, this PCR testing, and that's good, that's important. And also, but let me also say, that China, in January, issued said, this is how we do testing. This is how to do testing. The FDA looked at it, CDC looked at it, said, it's not good enough. We don't like it. Not good enough for us, because everything has to be perfect, and we've got to do it ourselves. So they made the test better. Less false positives. They issued it, and guess what? Didn't work. It was worse than the Chinese one. Didn't work. They had to go back to the drawing board, and that's why the U.S. is in last place when it comes to testing. And now they're just focusing on this one type of test instead of many, and I'm going to show you here. They're going to let this guy talk. You know who's going to save us? The, genomics geniuses, Silicon Valley geniuses who are just going to fucking get together and fix this thing. Fuck the government. Fortunately, one good thing that Trump is doing, he's telling people, just don't worry about regulation. Just fix shit. You want to make a mask? There's manufacturers in China can make masks. We could get them, but you know what? They're not FDA approved. Let's listen to this a little. I'm gonna listen to this a little bit because this is important, because this is a signal. What we're getting to here is when can we invest? What do we do? I'm gonna get to numbers, but this stuff is important. I'm starting with it. So skip ahead if you just want to hear about money. I'll get there.
To get to the end of this, for life to return to normal, is for every single person living in this country to be tested. That way you could see who's contagious, and you could then have people who don't have it go back to work. Is there any possibility that this country could ever get to a point where every single person could be tested, and how long would that take?
Thank you for the question. I've heard that before. I don't connect the dots there. I don't see how testing everybody in the country is going to help you to implement this. This should be implemented universally.
See, what concerns me here is not if he said, listen, this is really difficult, we're getting there, or we're starting with this, we think everyone should focus on this, then we focus on that. I'd understand that, although I think it should be in parallel. When we hear the next guy talk, you'll hear the real answer, what we should be saying. But he says, I don't connect the dots. Well, listen. My 7-year-old daughter can draw and connect dots. You can't. And this guy's not a moron. He's a smart guy. But it's just like, this is the problem with top-down government control. Is you got one person. How about we just unleash? What if we just said, fuck the FDA, fuck CDC, and if you're smart and you can fix it, go fix it. Right?
At least at this level for everyone. The things we spoke about a while ago, that you want to really ratchet it up, like Governor Newsom is doing in California, like Governor Cuomo is doing in New York, or how you put an end to this outbreak. Testing is important. It would be nice to know, and there are certain things you could do, But let's not conflate testing with the action that we have to take. Whether or not you test, do this. I'm not.
You know what? And I listen, he's wrong, right? Italy, which is a disaster, where was Italy on this thing? Oh. Italy is a disaster. All they're doing is containment. Containment, containment, is that the word? Quarantining, social distancing, whatever. I agree, that's important. I mean, that's all we have. But what works is technology. That is what saves us. Hong Kong, Singapore. Where's Korea? Now, Korea had a huge outbreak. Massive testing. That's what's worked. And we're America. I thought we're supposed to be the best economy in the world. Why isn't technology saving us? And it can. But we got people in charge, they don't get it.
Putting down testing is an important issue, but people seem to link them so much that if you don't have universal testing, you can't respond to the outbreak. You really can.
Yeah, you know what? He will. Here's the other reason I wanted to put this in, because what is great, well, I shouldn't use the term great about anything that's going on, but what is very different about what is happening now is normally politicians do stupid things, and 5 years later, the results of their actions come in, but it's too late, and they've already cashed in, and no one connects the dots. But with this crisis, things are happening so fast that people do things and they're proven wrong. 2 weeks ago, Trump said, there's only 15 cases in the U.S., one guy who's got it, he's already feeling better, this thing's going to be gone in 2 days. 3 days later, he's like, oh shit. They're being proven wrong. This guy will be proven wrong within a couple weeks. Okay? He will change his tune. You'll see. Now, like I always say, listen to smart people. Listen to geniuses. Chamath Papatihaya. Don't know how to pronounce it. See if they spell it here. This All In podcast just started. I love listening to Chamath. Now, this guy, David Freeberg, this is one of these, in this whole this podcast, three geniuses, Silicon Valley. These are people who know how to get shit done. And, you know, Silicon Valley's process, ignore regulations, get shit done, and then if the government comes after you, you're good at apologizing. And that's, so they get it. Now, let's just listen to him. I'm going to let you listen to him for a couple minutes.
So I guess the question is, when do you think we will have these, the general population taking tests and we get like a large scale testing like South Korea did? I think we all agree that's the part of the solution. When does that happen?
Unfortunately, we're not parallel pathing it. We've put all of our resources into increasing the availability and throughput of the RT-PCR tests for acute infection cases. And as a result, we have everyone focused on this. There was some lab work and some research departments, I won't name them, that...
Okay, just to explain what he's talking about, there's the PCR blood test that I just showed you. And I'm sorry, I don't know how to pronounce his name. Fauci. And everyone's going to tell me I'm an idiot because I don't know how to pronounce it, because you know one thing that I don't. Good for you. Anyways, that test is all we're doing. Why don't we parallel it? Meaning, okay, we're working on what he wants, and what he's talking about is valuable. We needed that. We needed that 2 months ago, but we're ramping that up now. Great. But what about testing it? What about all the other types of tests? Why aren't we doing everything at once? 300 million people in this country, we can do more than one thing at a time.
We're working on doing this general population testing, but they got yanked into the getting the RT-PCR scaled up because, oh my God, we're behind the curve. We got to fix this thing. So we got to get over this first hump. I think once we get over this first hump, then you're going to see people distribute and work on this. And I think getting over the first hump is happening in the next, call it 7 to 10 days. And so then it's probably another 30 to 45 days before we get these tests for general population testing more broadly distributed. So call it 45 days out. And then hopefully
why can't we do this at the same time? I mean, why can't we parallel this? This makes no sense to me. We're the greatest country
and we have so many scientists and so many entrepreneurs in Silicon Valley that are banging their head on the wall, asking this question. I've done so many phone calls over the last few days with people being like, what can we do? How can we get these things made? Where can we go? And everyone's just like, flustered. It's really frustrating. Anyway, we've got a lot of individuals that we're trying to kind of collect together to do this work. Some folks are calling China today. We're trying to see if we can get big bulk orders out of China. We're just going to pay for it ourselves and then try and get some research labs to run the research universities around the country to run the experiments for us using these untested, unproven, not FDA.
Have you run one of these on yourself yet? One of these unproven tests yet?
I haven't. I actually, a friend of.
Okay. Anyways, I would listen to this whole thing. Also, my boy Chamath here. This guy, if you want to hear what's going on in the markets, we're going to get to that in a minute.
Unnecessary vacations because it drives.
This guy, he's an amazing investor, done amazing. His funds have done incredible. And he just listen to him. He's an expert for sure. All right. Okay. So let's see. What else? What are we talking about here? Now, here's what's going to happen. Okay. So we're going to get over this thing, right? The disease. It might be messy, and New York City is the one to watch. I mean, it could be, I think this is a real awakening for Americans. We'll see what happens. Hey, maybe it just, it's bad, but not that bad. Part of me is afraid it's going to be worse than Italy. And then it's a wake-up call for people who just think, like, America, nothing bad happens. And can't we just go back to fake news? Like, can't we just go back to pretending that we're talking about real things? Like, ooh, impeachment, and the latest, oh my God, somebody went into a bathroom and they say they were a boy, but they were a girl, and they were, let's pretend. Everybody wants to go back to that. You know what? This might be an awakening. Anyways, at some point we get through this stupid disease, and then guess what we got to deal with? This is a financial mess. And it's not a financial mess. It's real. Again, it's not fake. The last financial crisis was like banks pretend they have a bunch of capital that's, was mortgages, but it wasn't real because people weren't able to pay. Banks were based on a bunch of fake shit, so the Fed said, well, you trust us because we have the best fake shit, and they printed more of their fake stuff and gave it to the banks, and everyone said, okay, now we trust the banks, and, the game continues. But you can't print food. You can't print masks. You can't print, companies. My brother has a travel company. You can't print people to go biking in Italy right now. So, they're going to try. So here we were in, before the 2008 crisis. I shouldn't say the first. This has been going on for 250 years, but to at an accelerating pace, right? They went from 1 trillion to 2 trillion. Okay. And then you kept having crisis, and we went from 2 to 4. This is going to 10, probably past it. Listen to Caitlin Long if you want to, if you're into this stuff, you want the details. Caitlin Long understands it better than anyone. A lot of videos, you can watch her stuff. She gets it. She explains it. So what do I want to say here? Oh, and let me make up one point. You know who the fucking heroes are right now? These nurses and doctors going in with an extremely contagious, dangerous disease, and they're helping these people without proper equipment. In China, they were wearing full hazmat suits, and some of them, they'd wear a friggin' diaper because it's a pain in the ass to take the suit off and put it back on. And they'd work 24 hours shitting in their pants to save people. New York, they don't even have the equipment. The doctors, listen, I hope I'm just scared, but anyways, these doctors and nurses going to work in these conditions, these are the heroes. Why don't you print some money? And what I would do is have someone stand in front of the hospital. If you're a doctor or nurse, you check their number, get their information, and you give them $100,000. Print it and give it to them. Oh my God, $100,000 for every nurse. Please! They give a fucking $500 billion to banks like it's nothing. And they don't even know who they're bailing out. They print it, and they give it, like someone's like, holy shit, we need dollars. Okay, we'll print it so the whole system doesn't come down. Who are you bailing out? They don't even know. Well, I know who the nurses and doctors are. Give them, throw them 100 billion, that's it. Print and give it to nurses and doctors who fucking work hard. I'm not saying, you don't want to turn it into a scam and people, I start pretending I'm a nurse. Hey, but you can stand out in front and be like, oh, you're really going in there and you're going to work, or you'll see them when they're coming out. Why don't you give them the money? Stupid. I mean, I'm not for printing money. It's stupid. But if you're going to do it, you might as well give it to people who matter. I already see there was some news thing. Guy from the CEO of Marriott. He's like, I'm not taking a salary now. Oh, he hired a PR guy. You're going to make me look good because I'm going for the fucking bailout. He needs a bailout. You know what? Oh my God, well, we need the Marriott hotels. Yeah. What, are they going to burn down the hotels? No, the hotels are fine. It's just the people in charge lose money, they go bankrupt, and someone else takes over. Big fucking deal. Why do they need to be bailed out? Why does anybody need to be bailed? Go bankrupt and someone else will buy it. Boeing, they're not going to stop making planes. Maybe for a month or two. Maybe they need to, but it's not going to go away. It's just the people who invested in it and the people who are running in it get kicked out and lose money and someone new comes in. Big fucking deal. Why do we have to bail everybody out? Now, the banking system is another thing. It's a Ponzi scheme, and once the Ponzi scheme's gone, then it's a whole big problem. But hey, we're going to have to get there at some point. I don't know. Listen, the banking system, we've got crypto. Now, believe it or not, I'm getting there. All right. What do we want to talk about here? Let's, I think we're ready to talk about crypto. All right. Here's my portfolio recommendation. Let's go through it. Ethereum, I'm at 50%. Ethereum is the bedrock. Ethereum is growing. It is great. It is scaling. It works. It is the platform that wins. There'll be other platforms, whatever. Fine. But Ethereum is the game. I don't want to get too into it in this video. I've talked in other videos. Watch my other videos, and if you have questions, ask me. There'll be other videos we'll talk about. I don't want to get too into why Ethereum is destroying. I mean, yeah. Let's move on. Now, DAI, 20%. Dollar peg token. Well, right now, hey, the dollar is king, right? Because everybody's running to the dollar. I should have talked about, first of all, this is just crypto, right? This is my crypto portfolio. But you also have an overall portfolio, assuming, you have other things, and you should. I mean, crypto shouldn't be all of your money in crypto, right? Maybe you own a home. Well, what is that worth, right? Then you have dollars in your bank. And maybe you own something else. I don't know. You have stocks. And what is the percentage? And US dollars right now is the best thing to own because everything else is going down except for the dollar. But I thought fiat sucks. I mean, why is the dollar good? I want to get out of the dollar. Yeah, there'll be a time, and you better be quick. You better be nimble because everything's crashing. Dollar's where you want to go, and at some point, you want to get out of the dollar. Here's what I think is going to happen. I don't know. We have to see how things play out. But in the last crisis, when this happened, everybody said, oh shit, now we're going to have inflation. But we didn't. In fact, we had deflation. Why? Because when they print, you got to see who they give it to. Because that's who gets richer, and that's where so they gave it to banks. Now, the stocks didn't go up a ton because they went from zero to being good, right? That's what that printing was. But they printed and gave it to rich people. So what happened? The rich got richer. And the poor got diluted. So with this printing, right now, they're back to their old game of giving it to banks. But it's not enough. They're pushing on a string. And like I said, this is going over 10 trillion. So who's going to get it? That's the question. And it looks like people are going to get it. Right? They're going to print and they'll give to... Who knows what they're going to do, but it looks like a fair amount Hopefully, I mean, listen, I don't like this whole bailout show, but if you're gonna do it, you might as well give it to people who deserve it or need it, and not just the idiots who caused the problem, give it to them so they can keep the system going. That's definitely not good. Anyways, I think a lot of it is gonna go to people, and guess what that does? Inflation. The economy has a problem now. People aren't getting shit done, so there's less stuff and less activity. And if you increase the amount of money in that system, prices just go up. Right? So, anyway, so there's going to be a time when you want to get out of dollars. But right now, dollar's the place to be. So DAI is a dollar-pegged token. And let me talk about this because, boy, the stress test, I think it was last Thursday, the 12th or something, I think. The markets went crazy. Volume, crashing, everything was tested. And guess what? The fiat system failed. Treasury auction was not going to go off as planned. Fed had to buy them all or printed a ton of money. Fed saved the Treasury market. Dislocated, not working. Bond market, not working. Stock market, I guess it's working, but people are stuck. People are underwater. Crypto markets were working. The fees on Bitcoin and Ethereum went through the roof, but shit worked. But one thing that almost broke was MakerDAO, which is the system that supports DAI, but it didn't. And one thing, let me show you something here, because I started looking. So here's DAI. Here, let me show you this. Stable, so I don't like the term stable coins. You know, dollar peg token coins. So, you know, it stays pretty good. Now this looks somewhat volatile, but that's $1.04, and this is 98 cents. But when everybody was freaking out, almost all the dollar peg tokens started to lose their peg by a few pennies. But the idea is, well, it's backed by dollars, and what if they don't have dollars? What if Coinbase doesn't have dollars? Binance has the Binance dollar peg token. What if Binance doesn't have dollars? And people get scared, and the price falls below $1. But what happened to DAI? DAI is backed by too much Ethereum collateral. It's over collateralized. If it doesn't work, you're going to get Ethereum worth more than your DAI. So DAI has the opposite problem. It goes up too much. Now, some of the other peg tokens went up a lot too at first because people just wanted to get into that instead of everything else. But then when that got settled, they were like, oh shit, I don't even want to be in this dollar peg token. But not with DAI. It's still too high. So there's problems, and MakerDAO's got its problems. And I stopped, I sold my MakerDAO and MKR. I'm concerned about MKR in general. I'm always worried. I always think MKR is going to crash, right? But they always pull through, and they're hanging in there, and I hope they make it. It's just, I'm concerned about that model for a number of reasons. The main one being MKR, value is not accruing to the MKR token. They don't have a system to accrue value to the MKR token, and the MKR token is the backstop of the whole system. But I'm okay holding DAI, because if MKR, the maker system, crashes, this DAI gets converted into ETH. You can look at DAI as simply stabilized Ethereum. You could almost say my portfolio here is 70% Ethereum, but 20% of the Ethereum is stabilized price-wise to match the dollar, which right now, probably a good move. Next, Kyber. I like Kyber a lot for many reasons. It's like similar to Ethereum, like from every angle. The team is great, the execution is great, and it's fucking working. And their models, and just watch the volume, right? I like to watch the 24-hour. Finally, sort of calm down, but if you look at this thing over a year, look at our volume. When I say it's down a little, not down, calm down. Maybe it's back to here. Right, like this volume growth, you can't. Kyber has been growing 1,000% a year, in the third year here looks like 1,000% again, and 0.25% of all transactions accrue to the token. They're going to be paying, not yet, they have to upgrade the system. Right now they just burn tokens. They're going to, part of it, burn tokens, and part of it, pay a dividend on this volume that is exploding. And also on our stress test last week, whatever it was, March 11 or 12, that Thursday, what happened on Kyber? Nothing broke. Volume went through the roof. They did awesome. I like Kyber. Bitcoin, yeah, you know, that used to, it was in 2018. I said, you got to run to Bitcoin, for your crypto, and that was the right move. But it's now everybody's still in it, and guess what? Bitcoin can't handle the volume. If the world's coming to an end and everybody's got to run, if banks start closing and people need to run to crypto, Bitcoin can't handle the volume. There's no scaling. Ethereum has systems up and running that can handle thousands of transactions a second. And if there's some catastrophe and banks close, you'll see apps going viral in 2 weeks. Bitcoin, that won't happen. It can't happen. But, again, that's another, I have a video you can watch about, I think I called it Bitcoin capitulation. Watch that. If you watch that, you still have questions, ask me. But I don't think it's going away. I got 10%, but I think it's overvalued in people's minds significantly. Part of me fears 10% is too high, but, most people it's 100%. I'm trying to stay calm here. Now, speaking of that, Bitcoin's one hope is that it becomes tokenized on Ethereum, trustlessly tokenized. Everybody's talking about TBTC as this system for tokenizing Bitcoin because I think they're good at marketing. And maybe it'll work and it'll be great, and that's supposedly launching soon. Ren, though, nobody's talking about. I think it's launching very soon. And it just looks so much better to me. Now, I usually do not buy anything until it's launched and been up for a few weeks. For some reason, and I hope I'm not going to relearn this lesson again, never buy anything until it launches. And so you maybe just keep your eye on it. I might be too early here, but I'm just like, I think this fucking thing is going to work. It's so simple. It's just you take your Bitcoin and there's a little click, click, click. And now your Bitcoin is a token on Ethereum. And at any point, and you can trade it around. And at any point, you can send it back through the system and get your Bitcoin back on the Bitcoin network. Easy peasy. Using ZK, zero knowledge proofs, the latest and greatest technology on Ethereum. And it's simple. Now, maybe there's a catch here. They always talk about trade-offs. Oh, it's all easy because of this problem or that. But it looks good to me. And so I'm holding out. Zcash, I think, is going to be the leading privacy token. Possible other privacy tokens may pop up on Ethereum and sort of just be, take over. Eventually, privacy is just a feature, but eventually can be a long time. And for now, Zcash, I think, is the leading privacy token. It's going to have more and more liquidity on Ethereum. You can also then store it on the Zcash system. There's a chance that this becomes money, private money, right? The holy grail of investing is that your token becomes considered money, right? That everybody just accepts it as money and a store of value. Zcash sort of has a chance to get the money that people wanted to hide in the Cayman Islands or wherever else. And there's very legitimate reasons why people want privacy, right? If I donate money to some kids at the school, I don't need everyone to see all of my transaction history because one of those kids knows how to go through the blockchain. And they talk about what I bought that night and I was out, whatever. So listen. Privacy is not, don't be too scared of it. Now, so KNC, by the way, launching a system where you're going to stake your tokens in order to earn rewards. ZRX, I don't love as much as Kyber, but their system is already launched where you're earning dividends. And let me see if I can find that. Let me show you what I'm doing here. And I'm liking what I'm seeing so far, but it's early. Where is that? Hold on. I'm going to show you something here. Okay. Let's see here. So, okay. So they just started doing this. So I'm trying to record, I'm trying to figure this, how to track this shit, right? It's tricky. So on 310, I earned, let's do 317 because it was a little more. I earned this many rewards in Ethereum. It paid the reward, and this is how many tokens to get that, and the price of Ether was this, and ZRX price was this, which means, what is this? So I figured out how much the award was in dollars based on the Ethereum price, and how much my ZRX was worth in dollars based on the ZRX price, which gives me a dividend, right? But wait, 2%, that's just in 10 days. Where did I multiply? That's just a percent, but that shouldn't be 2%. That's high, right? Is that right? Oh, here's times 36. It's every 10 days. So I took the amount, how much it is. Oh, now I just fucked up mine. Hold on. So I took, this is how much you earn in 10 days, so I multiplied it. Wait a second, I just found another error. This is cumulative from the week before, so it's actually 20 days. So, this should really be 60. What's half of 36? 18. And yeah. So 1%. So technically, it's running at a 1% dividend. That's not bad for a high growth, exciting thing to earn 1% dividend. By the way, if you assume what KNC is going to be paying, and I can't remember, but the dividend is pretty high. Or if you look at that 0.25% as just earnings, the PE on KNC is like 30 for something growing 1,000%. That's why I got a lot in it. BNB, you know the story. I love CZ and Binance, and I think they do well, but I don't know. Whatever. And Rep. When are they launching? I thought it was supposed to launch already. I'm not hearing anything, although I love when I don't hear anything. That usually means people are working. The companies that are out there promoting and marketing before it launches, it's usually a red flag. So, that's my portfolio. And I think that's all I have to say here, ladies and gentlemen. Yeah. Let me know your thoughts. Thank you for watching. Oh, by the way, reminder, my Twitter. I don't post much, but, see who I follow. But also, I would like you to follow me. I don't post much, but I do post. And if I had more followers, I would post more. I never get any feedback. I feel like nobody cares about my Twitter. So, I don't know. Follow me on Twitter. If I feel like I should do something to get more followers. Because I do have things and I'd like to interact. I'd like to... I don't know. Somehow I'd like to have a bigger following on Twitter. If you have any ideas for me, let me know. All right. Thank you.